how we've learned all about this data with SEMrush, what kind of data SEMrush can give. I am the founder of a company called StudioHawk. StudioHawk is a 55 person SEO specialist company. We don't do paid ads, we don't do social, we don't do websites. I can tell you a whole list of the things we don't do. We just do SEO. We're 6 people in London. There's Lorcan there, there's Anthony there. And we're talking a little bit about how you can use data-led SEO to maximize the use of trends. And of course, what we're all here for, to get more traffic and leads. So, how exactly are we going to do that? First, we're going to start off with a quick game. Again, very similar to one we just did. F45 versus CrossFit. Now, I wouldn't know what either of these are, to be honest. F45, hands up for F45. Isn't F45er? And CrossFitters? CrossFit. Yeah, of course. There's always that one guy in the crowd like, CrossFit! Actually, F45 does win out there. There's a lot of people going around F45. Now, this is my favorite slide in this whole presentation, guys. Dota 2 versus League of Legends. One very good video game and one very bad one. Hands up for Dota 2. Any Dota 2 fans out there? Yeah, League of Legends. Who's League of Legends? Yeah, well, sometimes a better thing doesn't always win. Unfortunately, League of Legends does win that one out. And last one, very near and dear to my heart. Obviously second to Dota, but SEO versus PPC. Who gets more searches a month based on volume? PPC. Let's hear it for my SEOers. SEOers out there? What about those PPCers out there? All right. SEO does win out. There's a lot of people that want to know exactly what kind of voodoo magic these SEO people are spinning. Yeah, see? I did that with my mind. So, who's StudioHawk? So like I said, just SEO specialist. So we recently came away with the Global Search Awards for the best large agency there. We've done a lot of work with SEMrush. And now just coming to London to, God, I hate every time I use this line, but spread our wings into London. So where is SEO going, right? It's a question that everyone's always asking. This SEO thing's been around for 20 years now, right? 20 years we've been hearing about SEO. But why is now such a pivotal point in SEO? Why are agencies growing so rapidly? And it's not COVID. Why are so many people starting to see the advantages of SEO? If we look at some of the stats here, so 34% of people have between 1 to 3 people in their digital marketing team. Now that's up 11% from pre-COVID, right, instantly. And that's still a shockingly low number, right? And we're talking companies worth 5 mil above. What about how many of those have an SEO strategy? Only 77%. And 50% or 48% of them describe it as average or less. That's pretty shocking. Imagine if you said, oh, okay, I got a plumber. Like 50% of people describe their plumber as pretty shit. And what priority goals do we have in 2022? We all want to generate more quality leads. We all want to attract more people, and we want to improve our brand reputation. And of course, the most effective one that they've used in 2021 is search engine optimization and optimizing and updating content. All these slides are available, so don't feel like So consumers are driving that conversation, and we really want to make educated choices without those intrusive ads. You know, a lot of people every year, the amount of people that skip through those ads goes up, and the people that just see the word ad, skip over it, move over it, changes. And there's so much we can do in SEO today that I don't think people are aware of exactly how measurable it is, how trackable it is, and exactly how exciting it is. So I hope to share a little bit about that with you. So it's some kind of traffic sources there. But what can you do? That's kind of what we're all here to kind of learn. What can I actually do about my SEO? Now, SEO, it sounds like, everyone hears, oh, it's an algorithm, right? An algorithm just fundamentally is a scary word for a lot of people. SEO is probably very simple. There's 3 letters in SEO. There's 3 pillars you really need to understand in SEO. If you remember this, you remember more than 50% of SEO specialists. Number 1 is on-site. So everything on the website, the technical structure, if you've heard of what a H1 tag is or what page speed is, They're all examples of on-site optimization. Things on the website I can touch and feel and change. Then we have off-site, which is everything external. So Google uses a lot of external signals to determine how to rank a website. So backlinks or offsite is what we call that. When someone else that is niche relevant with good relevant traffic is linking to your site, it is a massive signal to Google to boost your site. And then lastly, we have search intent. So that's where you might think of content, your blog, the kind of stuff you have on your website. Are you actually writing about what people want to hear about? Inevitably, someone in this crowd is going, Harry, but which is the most important? It's like having a three-legged chair. It's kind of like which is the most important leg of your three-legged chair. They're all pretty damn important. So make sure you know each of them and can kind of understand them. So we'll kind of break that down. Now, one big thing we talk about in SEO, and we won't talk about every different pillar there, but we talk about playing dirty in the SEO word. And that looks like this. So this covers off technical SEO. And also search intent. So there's delivery, there's infrastructure, there's relevance, there's trust. Put the Y in because I thought it would sound cooler. But it kind of covers up everything that you would need to know. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover off everything here, like content link injections and server redirects and canonical tags. But this is like an all-inclusive guide. And while it looks scary, it's actually not that bad, right? You could probably Google each of these and learn a bit about what a user experience is. And log file analysis, that sounds super scary, but it's actually like maybe a 20-minute read. So that kind of goes through that. And if you're doing it right, it should be like doing a pit stop, right? Everyone's got their part, everyone puts their, I don't know why I've gone with this analogy, because I don't know anything about it. But, everyone does the wheels, right? People wheels, right? It can't be that hard. Now today specifically, we're talking about the relevance part of that dirty SEO, right? We're talking about relevance, and that's where we can really use data, because technical, it's like we know we need to clean the dishes, and I don't need to use data to do that. But what content do people want to read about, right? A lot of, we work with a lot of, and I'll talk about this later, a lot of companies in Australia, like journalist companies. And, we're working with 100, 150 journalists, and we're like, how do you know what you want to write about? And it's always good because you'll always sit there and they're just like, whatever I feel like today, like whatever I feel like I'm vibing with, and that's kind of what they do. But what we can actually do is use data. Now this one's for all those e-com people in the room, anyone's got an e-com site. With pages, we can look to data like SEMrush has provided by going through the amount of searches per month, the sentiment of the searches, even the trend of the searches to see what's emerging and what's going on. So we can look at those keywords on the right there and kind of see, okay, face paint has 9,900 searches, this is the cost per click, this is how much of our current traffic's coming through face paint, and then we can start creating pages to match that up. Now, SEMrush have also got this really cool feature now, I don't know if you've seen this, and it will have navigational, transactional, informational, or commercial investigation as the 4 categories of search intent, right? So everything that we ever search for, yes, even the bad things we search for, can be summed up in one of these 4 pillars of search. Navigational, I want to go to this brand, Officeworks. I type in Officeworks. Ta-da, navigational search. Transactional search. I want to buy face paint. That is transactional. I'm trying to buy something. Or nearest plumber to me. That could be seen as a transactional search. I'm looking to make a transaction from that. Informational. What is face paint? I've never heard of this thing in my life. I want to know. That's informational. And commercial investigation. All right, I want to compare, why can I use mascara when I could use face paint? I want the pros and cons. Right? I want to know. I want to know, why would I do that? And so these are the different kinds of search intents and search pillars we have. And you can craft that content. So on Officeworks over here, what we did is we worked with them to actually inform their buying team on new product ranges and what they should be stocking and how they should be using it. So we literally went through and just started looking through at, okay, what are they currently stocking? What's the data behind this? And oftentimes you'll talk to their team, and teams say funny things when they don't have data. You'll be like, you know what, our #1 priority is selling face paint. You're like, well, that's cool, that's really good. But how many searches does that get? and they're like, oh, I don't actually know. I don't know how many searches that gets. And we can look that up and say, well, FacePaint only gets 9,900 searches a month. Is that big of a sale item for you? Because actually you're in the second position for laptops. But if I said you can either sell more FacePaint or sell more laptops, what would you write? Oh, laptops. It's like, right, well, why would we not focus on that? And you can see that graph there of how things changed when they started shifting to a data-driven approach by going through in SEMrush and literally plugging in these keywords. So another really cool one, actually completely going off e-commerce, was this headline around Google predicting COVID-19 hotspots, right? And how that was, I mean, it sounds like a really cool idea, but it was literally just the same thing I spoke about, using that data to see who's searching for what. So right now I can pull up I can pull up anything and basically look at the volume behind something. I can look at a COVID symptom. Like let's say I Google losing sense of taste, and I can look at the trend of that thing. And if I see that trending up in the UK, we got problems, right? If I can see that trending down, I'm thinking, well, that's really good. And so you can do that almost area by area in different tools like SEMrush to see where that volume's coming from. So we do a lot of digital PR as well, a lot of articles in the news, all that kind of stuff. And literally when we talk about data we give to journalists and when we provide this stuff, we're just doing this stuff. We're looking at the sentiment. Is it up? Is it down? The trend, sorry, and the volume of these different terms. And that's enough to create really, really compelling pieces. Another one, who writes a blog here? Who does at least a blog post a month on their site? Guys, should be seeing a lot of hands here. All right, so if you aren't doing a blog every month, please do a blog every month. Google will give you a big pat on the back for it if you do it right. So with a blog post, we can utilize tools like Google Trends, which is a free tool to look at something like this. I can see content marketing here. I can see that graph. And I can sit here and go, man, I'm an agency. Shit, wouldn't it be cool if we could do content marketing? Because we know that's trending, we know that's going up, and we know that's forecasted to continue going up. And so what do? We do content writing. How amazing is that? How do we make that decision? Not by finger in the air, I think some people are asking for content writing, maybe we should offer that. We actually look at the data, which is a big change in how people offer services and how people write articles. Another one is positioning, like I said, positioning that content in a way that makes you look like an expert to Google. So one blog post a day, I say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Blog post a month keeps Google in your good books. I mean, that doesn't rhyme so well, but you get the idea there. So they really want to rank experts. So if you're an expert in your field, and that's why you've got a website, hopefully, then they want you to post because they see people posting as experts. So that's part of their EAT principle if you want to look into that further. So education goes a long way. SEMrush have obviously got their academy. We've got a free one as well called Hawk Academy, which is where you can learn all about content creation. But it is such a big thing just being able to look at that kind of data. So talked about a company that we work with back in Australia called Bauer Media. I don't know if they're a thing in the UK. They do like Women's Day and all that stuff. But we worked with the team over there to make data-driven conversations around what they wrote. So we literally trained their whole team on basically SEMrush. And I keep mentioning that, but really it is the tool that everyone kind of uses in the industry. And kind of like Photoshop. And you can see exactly what happened here. So this is like a car brand specifically that they were writing about. And my God, we had 50 journalists at this car company. I remember rocking up there, and it was so much fun. And I don't know much about cars. I'm not a car guy. I walk in this room, 50 journalists in a boardroom, and I came in there and said, hey, we've got to stop writing about the cars that you're writing about because no one really wants to read it. And that went down really well. And what we ended up doing was a 3-month pilot. So I said, look, guys, please, hear me out here. We're going to talk about different stuff that people are already searching. So we're going to use tools like Keyword Magic. We're going to look at the data in these different places of how many people are searching for things. And then we're going to instead inform decisions based on that. I keep coming to the same thing, data-driven search research. And look at that. I mean, I don't know how much that is. 350, 1.1. We're going to say that's maybe 240% increase, like overnight in the course of less than a year, and just shot up because instead of writing about what we think people want to hear about, we write about what we know people want to hear about, which is a big shift. And we haven't really ever had this data before. I mean, it sounds, it sounds like, oh yeah, why aren't we doing this already? But it's because the data hasn't been there for a long time. It is very, very new. Laura, I've locked the phone. I can't go to my next slide.
We talked about this.
Yeah. I know. So again, how do we do this? How do I actually look at data that I want to run about? So I've loaded up how to save iPhone battery, right? It's a hugely contested. I should know, right? I just locked it. And we can look at all the key recommendations. I mean, this stuff is so cool because I can see all the semantically related words. So I can see like save battery life, draining a battery, screen brightness, reduce motion, swipe up from the bottom, settings battery. And then I can look at all the backlinks that I might want to acquire. So remember that offsite thing that I spoke about before, how you want to get these people linking to you? You're like, oh, where do I want to get these from? Bam! There I want to go. I want to get backlinks from these guys. So I then got to reach out and maybe do a digital PR pitch. I can look at the readability. So here's the readability it should be, and here's my text length. This is how long my piece of content should be. So we have this data. So if you're sitting there going, well, yeah, this is all great, we use data, cool, but how do I actually do that? Well, when I'm writing a piece about how to save iPhone battery, I know I need to include these different topics, like H2 headings or different headings within the article. And I know I can basically pull these up and click on that and see exactly what the volume is of each of those. And so when we're looking at doing this, it is actually very easy to double, triple, quadruple your traffic as a journalist or as a company with a blog by just looking at where people are searching, which is a new kind of thing. Now, people don't want to spend a lot of time reading shit, right? And it's not that they want to watch videos and stuff. Sure, some people want to watch videos, but we just want stuff to be relatively short and sweet, right? So that 3-minute mark is the average time we want most of our text and articles to take place in. So focusing around that and trying to get to that level is where we should be. Obviously some articles, some pieces are going to be a lot longer, some will be shorter, but that's the kind of the level we want. Is Lizzo a big thing here? Actually, that's a good question. Is Lizzo, has anyone heard of Lizzo? Yeah. Okay, cool. So one thing that we did in the pre-COVID days, and actually this is probably one of the best things I ever did because, while training a journalist, we got paid for all that. I mean, they didn't write about my new car or anything, so it really sucked. But we did some work with Lizzo, an events company. So we basically did a lot of work around the trend and who's emerging artists. So Tate McGray was an emerging artist at the time. And we were able to book him and get people that were on a positive trend. And we were able to book them because his prices were still ridiculously cheap because he was pricing here when his trend was here. So we were able to actually negotiate better prices and get better talent that people wanted to see faster for an events company. And so you can see all the questions as well that people would ask. So this is always brutal. I mean, the number one question people ask about Lizzo is how much does she weigh and how old is Lizzo? I mean, imagine your life if someone just looks up your number one questions about you. That's hurtful stuff. But this is the kind of stuff that we can see related to all that. And the end of that story was I got AAA backstage passes to all these events. So that was much better than the journalist. So if you're an event company, let me know. But that's the end of this presentation, talking about that data-driven stuff. All that stuff you can be, there's a lot of free tools out there. SEMrush is the one that most enterprises or agencies will use. But the point that I'm trying to get across here is if you're writing blog posts without knowing what people are searching for, you are wasting your time, your editor's time, your reader's time, everybody's time. Write stuff based on data. It is all there for the taking and people still aren't doing it. And we are routinely taking awards home, tripling clients' traffic by using data. If you want to learn more about it, we also have Hawk Academy there. That roadmap and everything is, and also a glossary if I've said something that you're like, and this guy's talking a lot of mumbo jumbo. That's all there, and you can download that on that website. And that's it. Thank you very much, guys.